Hello and welcome to my easy to understand guide to Tomb Raider Anniversary and Audience. This video is going to be particularly relevant for you if you are studying AQA A-level as Tomb Raider Anniversary appears on that specification currently. Because Tomb Raider Anniversary is based on the original Tomb Raider 1 game from 1996, it means that a lot of the audience are going to be pre-sold audiences who perhaps played the game in 1996 or around that time, or who are at least familiar with it. That suggests they're going to be an adult target audience, primarily over the age of 30. Those people are going to want to play this game for that idea of nostalgia, looking back and remembering the games that they used to play in their youths and reliving those gaming moments. The game is filled with lots of dramatic and exciting parts, particularly things like chase sequences and action and fight scenes. And this might appeal to those explorer audiences who like the kind of adrenaline-filled parts of a narrative or a product. Lots of audience, particularly those succeeders, like the idea of completing challenges, of competing, even if it's just against themselves, trying to unlock puzzles and solve things and complete levels. So it's this idea of competition and achievement might appeal to a lot of audiences. There is quite a high level of violence and action within the game, lots of fight sequences and kill sequences as well, and you can see the characters dying, albeit not in a huge amount of detail. This level of violence might be quite cathartic for some audiences, that idea of being able to live out and vent your aggression in a video game in quite a safe way. Some theorists like Bandura and his media effects theory, may suggest that audiences might be negatively affected by the violence in video games. However, a lot of other people believe that the violence in media products doesn't necessarily affect audiences in the way that Bandura thought it did. There's lots of exotic landscapes in the game. You can see lush kind of rainforests and tombs, temples, that kind of thing, really exotic. And this might appeal to those explorer audiences, the people who want adventure, who would quite like to see the world, who want to escape into an alternative fantasy universe. And actually the fantasy creatures that are in the game as well might appeal. This idea of being able to fight dinosaurs, mythical creatures, the fact that Natla, the villain, kind of turns into this kind of dragon style mythical creature as well. So very much appealing to audiences that like fantasy. Intellectual, educated audiences might be engaged by the idea of puzzle solving, having to be quite strategic in the game. Lara Croft herself as a character is obviously highly sexualised, not just in the game, but in particular in the marketing materials. And this look at her through a male gaze is designed to appeal to a male heterosexual audience. So clearly trying to draw them in through the use of revealing clothes, low camera angles, and the design of her body as well. Female players might have particularly enjoyed this game because of the fact that it had quite a dominant female protagonist. Don't forget that when video games like Lara Croft Tomb Raider 1 first came out in '96, there were very few video games that had a female playable character, let alone a protagonist that was very strong and dominant. And even when Tomb Raider Anniversary came out, there's still a lack of female dominant characters within games. So perhaps female players would have enjoyed being able to kind of get into gaming with a female character that was quite powerful. The players for video games are quite active. They're not passive audiences sitting back and just consuming a media product. They're always making choices, whether that is choices about Lara's costume or weapons, whether it's choices about what routes to pursue within a particular location, which place they're going to explore next. There's lots of choices to be made within the game, and players are often responsible for shaping that narrative, being able to choose what to do next. So quite an active audience. However, some people might argue that the game makers in Tomb Raider 1, for example, it's not a sandbox game. You can't just go anywhere and do anything. There's still kind of restrictions, doorways that are shut, levels that are restricted, and you have to complete certain puzzles in certain orders in order to unlock the next level. So perhaps there are some restrictions on how active an audience can be in this game. Now, obviously, the producers of the game were hoping that the audience were going to take a preferred reading, so enjoying the adventure, immersing themselves in the game, and being very happy with Lara Croft as a character. There are going to be audiences that do take more negotiated or oppositional readings to the game. So, for example, there are going to be several people who are going to play this game and think that Lara Croft is very sexualised. They're going to perhaps think this is quite misogynistic, the way that she's been designed to appeal to a heterosexual male audience, and that might put some people off of playing the game. Some players might not enjoy the violence, they might think the game is too scary. More casual gamers might think the game is too complicated to play. And certainly the more complicated puzzles and levels might put players off. There are often times in a game where a player gets stuck and they try, but they can't get past certain levels, and that might put them off even trying to complete the game. Audiences for video games like Tomb Raider Anniversary are very active outside of the game. So things like online, on social media, there's lots of people who use that to interact with each other. Fan forums, fan-made wiki pages for Tomb Raider as well. People who create fan art and fan fiction as well. And even cosplay at various events as well. So there's quite an active audience outside of the game. So that was my easy to understand guide to Tomb Raider Anniversary and audience. Don't forget to check out my channel for other videos about Tomb Raider Anniversary and indeed all the other set text, keywords and theories. If you do have a particular request for a video that I don't already have, please drop me a comment below and I'll see what I can do.